Roots 101 Deeply Rooted. From the vibrant and storied heart of America, brought to you by the Roots 101 African American Museum. This is the Deeply Rooted Podcast, where we pay homage to the unsung heroes, the pillars of our community, the inventors, the artists, the activists, and our ancestors by highlighting Black excellence of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Your guide on this journey, none other than the passionate and insightful Lamont Collins, a visionary, a mentor, a scholar, and most importantly, a griot of African American history and culture. So sit back, tune in, and let's dive deep into the rich soil as we get deeply rooted.
Good evening, everyone. This is Lamont Collins, Roots 101 African American Museum. Welcome to Deeply Rooted. You know how podcast goes, and you know I always bring you the best guests I can find, and no guest better than Reverend Johnson, Dr. Reverend Johnson of Galilee Baptist Church, right here in Louisville, Kentucky. And I always love this brother. I call him the pocket quarterback because he played quarterback when he was in college, hiding behind the line of scrimmage. And I told him to this day, if he ever came to my side, he wouldn't be a preacher today. But anyway, he's here today. It's Dr. Johnson. How you doing, Doc? Talk to me.
Thank you, Lamont, man, for letting me come and hang out with you there. I'm doing well. I'm doing well, man.
Well, you know what I love you is you always committed to the community. You're a writer of several books. How many books have you called?
4.
At least 4 books that you've written on religious books. Give us the titles real quick.
Fresh Oil, the book, Fresh Oil, the devotional, Where Are the Men of the House? And then I have a couple pieces that I've done in Oxford sermons.
Yes, I mean, but you're the man. So let's talk about what you're doing in Louisville. You're always committed to the community to the church. And now you guys got a beautiful project that you're doing right here in Louisville. Tell us about the project and where it is.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. We have redeveloped a piece of ground that was once a gas station, Mr. Diggs' old BP station.
That's right.
And we committed to take that piece of land with prayer and help and make it a community hub. And so it won't have any walls because we want people to see out and we want people to see in as to what's going on. We're going to use that for a community hub. We're grateful for a friend who works with 10 Talents who helped us to fund it. And so we're going to make that farm to street, farm to hood, every Saturday morning, farmers market. We're going to do a bulk of community programming and community events. And my vision, as I've shared, is real simple. I want to put neighbor back in the hood, right? So I want us to have neighborhoods again. Since we've been in the hood, ain't a whole lot good been going on. And so I think it's time for people to begin to think about the concept of putting neighbor back into the hood.
Cool. And you're located right on Broadway, for people that don't know.
Yes, we're located on 40th, the south side of 40th and Broadway, 3918 West Broadway.
Okay. Now, I'm not the country boy, so when you say south, what direction is that?
South is that way.
Okay. So you're going that way.
North is Cincinnati. No, wait. Yeah, that's right. North is Cincinnati and Indianapolis. South is Nashville and Memphis.
So you said it just like a boy from Texas.
That's it, baby.
Because you're Texas man, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell us about how you got from Texas to Louisville and doing the good work you're doing at the Galilee Baptist Church.
Absolutely. Basically, my wife and I felt a call to, my mentors kind of helped me to get this call. And so, hey, man, you need to go prepare. And I was happy to stay in Dallas, that region. We have a ton of tremendous scholarly schools. And both my mentors were like, no, you need to go to Louisville. And why would I go to Louisville, when we got better schools here? It's because everything they're teaching in our schools is coming out of Louisville. So I packed up, man. We moved by faith, $800 by faith, 2 cars, a fish, and a plant. And, man, came to Louisville, went to the Southern Seminary prior to all the firefall they had. And as a result, my last year in my MDiv, I was asked by Dr. Ockert to come and to Greater Galilee and to just supply preach, right? Cool, man, I needed the money. They needed some words, so cool. Then old Deacon Hudson was like, well, he called Ockert and said, ask him if he would consider staying. He wouldn't ask me. God told him, nah. Man, no. I ain't trying to stay in Louisville. So Dr. Ark was like, well, if the opportunity comes up, you need to be, yeah, whatever, yeah. And lo and behold, man, they voted without my consent. And it was unanimous. They called me as pastor.
Yeah, and Dr. Ockert, for people that don't know, when I remember when he was a young preacher coming to Louisville, and he was so innovative when he got here at Louisville, the church he built, his ministry at the time. Reverend Ockert and his dad was part of the Negro League.
Negro Leagues, yes, sir.
So Dr. Ockert has really done some great things in Louisville, and probably people don't recognize him enough for the things he's put into Louisville, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So your project, you said no walls, which I think is symbolic in so many ways. It's a metal building, metal structure. Explain to them what it's going to look like.
Okay, it's going to be 4 columns. I mean,
Your
2, 4, 6, 8 columns. The size of a full basketball court and a half, right? And on the back end, the south end, as you said, it'll be a nice basketball court that we can convert to pickleball and some other things.
Are brothers
right?
playing pickleball in there?
If we do it, we're gonna take it, right?
Okay.
I just want to make that clear. Yeah. Okay. I want them to do everything that everybody else does. And so the front side is kind of parking, and we decided intentionally. And if you go by the way we built it, there's not one in the United States. I found a model of what I was dreaming about in Australia, right? And I said that's what I want. And the Lord blessed us to be able to get a construction group and team together that said, okay, we can handle it. And man, it's so when you drive down west, coming toward the Chickasaw and Shawnee Park, and you happen to look up, it hovers over everything else because being a neighbor is one of the most important points of our faith. You can't love God and not love one another, right? So, so it has no walls because I don't want what happens in there to just be restricted and located to a certain geographical. I want everybody to see and feel welcome and participate.
Okay. And you say it will be a farmer's market too?
Farmer's market. Every Saturday morning, we are working with an African-American group that will bring in fresh farm oranges, apples, grapes. I mean, whatever they grow. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, and just bring it to the people so that because Galilee sits right in the middle of the food desert. Right. Interestingly enough, and a lot of people that I minister to don't have transportation. They don't have Uber fare. They don't have cab fare. Walk all the way to the bus stop and then carry all this stuff back. It's ludicrous, man. So we say, you know what? We're going to try to bring freshness again to our neighborhood, to our community. And so that's one of the things. That's one of the vision points we're going to do.
So when let's say the other farmers markets, let's say if in order for me to buy groceries, I'm using EBT cards or whatever, will they be able to use that? Will they be able to get service that way?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. I don't deal with that part of it, but we'll work something out. I'm sure that the lady that's handling it for me has considered that.
Okay.
And if not, the church will. The church say, just do it. And that's my hope. My hope is one day to have a big enough ministry where I don't just take in, but I do ludicrous stuff outside.
Yeah, but I think the size of church and not, I don't know the financials of the church, but you do a lot. Man, let me talk about your youth camp. You know how I love camps and love kids. Your camp, without a doubt, is one of the best camps in this city. And I know it's a camp that's ran by heart, passion, and not a whole bunch of funds. And the funds is faith over financing, which we talked about that before. Mm-hmm. Talk about what your camp does and the things you bring the kids to.
And you probably could relate to this since you were a football superstar. But man, most of my teams that I played on, we never got to ride.
Well, you saw I didn't stop you when you said that, right?
Well, I was trying to love on you a little bit.
Okay.
I'll stroke your ego if that's what you need.
Okay,
if you need that, hey, I ain't got no issue with it, man. I want to be a blessing, right?
Go ahead.
Tell the Lord, listen, I did do something for you today, right? Most of my career as an athlete, I didn't get to ride a nice coach bus until the playoffs, right? And it had to be kind of, I think, hour and a half away or whatever. And so in Texas, that's not hard to do, man. And so we got on this coach bus, man. I'm like, man, look at this here. All that stuff. I said, man, this is... And we rode Continental Trailways from Dallas to Terrell all the time. My mom and her family were in Terrell, so we would go down there, man. and we'd have to get on the Continental Trailways bus. I don't know if you know like Greyhound.
I remember,
Yeah. But they wasn't as nice as these, right? Man, we'd walk it. Anyway, so I said, when we started talking about the concept of this camp, it's well, we could use school buses. So nah. But we're gonna go to Cincinnati, we're going first class. If we're gonna go to Nashville, we're going first class. We're going to Detroit, like they're going the end of the month. We're gonna go in first class, man. Like, man, how are we gonna do it? So don't ask me that. Your job is get your logistics right? And man, and you know me, I'm very Afrocentric in kind of what I do. And so I told April, who runs the camp, find me an African-American owned bus company. But I said, hey, everybody knows around me, no ain't the answer. So she found a good brother named Lonnie, Almost There LLC. So Lonnie pulls up, man, beautiful brand new black bus, man. Little kid, never forget this, Lamont, little kid walked out and he said, is this for us? Now listen to the psychology and the sociology of that. Is this for us? And I said, yeah, man, this is all about you, man. It's all about making you better. Like, wow. And what he was saying was, man, somebody cares enough about us, to do something like this. Grandiose, man, just a bus ride. But to these kids, man, it's a life, it's sad to say, but it's a life-changing, a life-cultivating, a life-nourishing, and a life-giving, a life-birthing to them. And so, man, they get on this bus. I don't know if you saw the video. And this one little kid, man, he gets on the bus. And he starts singing.
I saw the bus. He was saying, he like at the Apollo or something. He was into,
They said that brother sung all the way, man, and all the way back, man. He was happy. And I asked the guy, do we have any problems, any behaviors? Man, nah. So, man, he said, I love driving. Man, he's made a commitment to drive us everywhere we go. So, man, I love driving. My company will drive y'all wherever y'all want to go because, man, it's obvious that these kids are about that life, man.
I have to get his information. We do something.
I would do that, Lonnie.
But I saw the kids on the bus, and I said, "Wow, it's like it was life changing just watching." And that little kid didn't stop singing. And then when inside the camp, I think the girls was dancing.
Yeah.
Just something. I mean, here's another thing I love about what you do in the church and what you do with the young kids. You take them as they are,
right?
And you just loving on them. And while you loving on them, they're finding Christ in the process.
Yes,
Is that about right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's relationship. It's people over principle, people over profit. And as I told you a long time ago, there's no miracle. I don't care who the pastor is that tells you this and the theologian tells you this. You tell them, come talk to me. Show me a miracle that God ever did outside the walls of relationship. The key to every miracle is relationship. And sometimes when we have money and we're promoted and we're elevated, we kind of think, well, I got the money to do it. I don't need. But man, listen, in the scripture, from Genesis to Revelation, there's not one miracle God ever did that he didn't do through relation. Even creation, he said, let us make man, right? And, and he speaks to all this stuff, non-existence, and out of non-existence comes existence. Out of chaos comes order, you know what I'm saying? And he just speaks this stuff, and we are doing this, we doing this. And then he looks at that, he said, it's good. And that doesn't mean that it was perfect. It means it was good for the purpose that it was created. Right? So that means that if we live in relationship, watch this, all the purpose for which we've been created can be fulfilled. It's only when we try to be isolos, what those things called solos and individuals that stuff goes awry.
Yeah, and I've talked to you so many times when, I know over the years I've moved from trying to move business-wise to moving purpose-driven.
Right.
And once I allowed that to happen, I use an example, and how they be on TV talking about God and seeds and all that.
Right.
But I remember today I got up and said, man, I'm really short.
Right.
I need some money today, right? I said, and I know, and I said to myself, I bet I get a check today. And I got in and got 2 checks today. I mean, but that's what God's doing.
Purpose, man.
It's purpose-driven, and it's faith over finance. And I said that from the time I started the museum. But now that I see it, and I can just taste and feel it, and every day I know I ain't got to worry about nothing. Just like we talked about when you did your church and how some things, when you needed some things, I was able to do it when I was able to do it, and some things you continue to do. But you never sweat anybody. It's like, hey, God wants this to happen. Who's going to help me make it happen?
That's it. It's going to happen.
And it's going to happen. It may not be on our time, but it's going to happen. All we have to do is just have the faith to hang on to it.
That's it, man. Yeah.
And I think you're an example of what you're doing over at Galilee. But when I look at that camp and all the camps I see and all the dollars I know people have for camps,
right,
to run the quality camp you had,
Right.
that ain't nothing but God.
That ain't nothing but, man.
Ain't nothing but God what you're doing.
He gets all the credit. He gets all the executive producer credit. Because, man, you don't know how many times, like, man, we got kids that come, and unfortunately, man, they're unkept. All of them are hungry. All of them, sometimes they're reading or their comprehension level. And then we even take what I call special needs kind of youth, man. I love, got a couple guys down there now I love, man. And you know, some of them are stimulant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to pull them out. But man, they in there grappling with it, man. And I love that. Like, God, we need XYZ. We need the money to pay this bus driver. I done got this man. And man, sometimes I tell a church and somebody who I think, you know, wouldn't have it, they say, well, here, I'm sponsoring the kids. Maybe you don't got that.
I got it.
You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes it will come in from somebody, hey man, I want to be a blessing. What can I do? So, but the thing I have tried to live by is it's going to happen on my watch. Question is, will you get blessed from it? It's gonna happen. I ain't never lost. I ain't never lost, bro. You know what I'm saying? When it's a one-on-one, me and the adversity, me and the challenge, man, I go to my nap. You know, that little cat, he always had his bag of tricks. Felix, right?
Yeah, Felix cat.
Felix always had his bag of tricks. So I go to my bag of tricks, man, and in there it says, he will supply my every need. You know what I'm saying? I can do, right? And we know that God is working all things for the good of those who love. So, man, I'm not finna trip on Lamont because Lamont said no. I'm gonna say thank you, man, because it wasn't your purpose, right? And then eventually, God runs you into, here it is. He runs you into a relationship. He said, man, you doing what? And you feeding how many? And you doing backpacks, what? And you doing it, man, here. Boom.
So how do you feel? And I know because, you know, we talk, but as in your ministry, as a minister that's called by God, and we see all the adversity that we see today, and we even see attack on our communities and attack on Black people. Let's say it like it is. We see that as if when my parents, or when I was a kid, that I saw it on TV. But now I'm 64 years old and I'm seeing things replay that I saw when I was a kid. So so what happens in dynamics of being a minister telling people to keep the faith? Same thing they said in 65, we say today, or we tell them we got to go stronger? What are you saying?
I think you mix the old with the new. I think that there needs to be an accentuation, oh my God, particularly in Louisville, but there needs to be an accentuation of what leadership really is about, right? That's number one. So we're not separated per se. Second thing I think is there's nothing wrong with the message of 1965. It was contextual to the times, but now that same message needs to be brought forward and contextualized for the situation that we're in now, right? So you got people who jumped on the civil rights wagon and got their rights and got what they're going. They didn't pass us by.
That's right.
Right? Okay. What were we doing? The foundations of everything that made African American culture what it is cracked. Because all that started with respect in the home. Right? You didn't see nobody coming out here looking like the monster just attacked you, man. We walked out with dignity and respect. We didn't have a dime. But when we were going out in public, I remember my mama would letting us go out. Man, we would be going to the store, get to clean up. Can't go in there looking dirty and rag, you know. Now? So how can I expect someone to respect me in my community if my community and myself are not earned, have respecting ourselves? Come on, man, we gotta be honest. So a lot of it doesn't have to be done to us. In 64, it had to be done to us. In 2024, I would suggest we're doing it to ourselves. In so many education. Free education. Free, man. You can go to school and learn whatever you want to learn. And they got phones and Google. I can't pass the third grade or fourth grade. I can't read. What's teaching? No. You know how I learned to read? And I had a stuttering problem, still have it. We sat down during the week and they made me read the Bible as a reading lesson. Not to get nothing spiritual, but to learn them words. Because it was written on a 12th grade level. Now the average kid in our schools reads below second grade level. Let's think about that. So let me ask you this. So where mama and daddy, and we know where granny is, she in the club, but where mama and daddy? And we've put so many other things. We put the bag, our prioritization of things, I think, is questionable. We've put the bag and social media people and entertainers and comics are discipling our families, right? And so they will pay how much money to go see Charlie Wilson? Let's just say. When Beyonce came through, man, every church was struggling the next 4 months. Because we know B came and got that money. She had church, right?
Yeah, she had church.
Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
And she went on. Didn't leave nothing for the community. Hey, people do, but I'm saying maybe we need to reprioritize. Maybe I need to not, give up these material things and aspects to make sure my kids get foundational success, man. You know what I'm saying? So where you gonna go if you can't read, Lamont? If you can't think, everything's about emotion for you. The easiest person to kill on the football field is the emotional one.
That's right.
The one who can't think.
Yeah, but I think so, especially so many young boys, I see so many emotional young men that when I came up, boys wasn't emotional. That's not how we operate. That's not how Big Daddy operate. We didn't operate on emotions, but now we see that, and I know what you're saying on that one. And when you talk about the guidance of the church, right?
Okay.
And what the responsibilities, or is there responsibilities to the church in building our community? Because we know at one time the church was the foundation.
Absolutely.
Every movement, every civil rights movement, every church movement, every building movement started in the bottom of a church.
That's correct. That's every
So
school. That's
every school,
right.
I mean, Stark HBCUs, it was the church. We talk about black men standing up. It was the deacons of defense,
Yes,
black
sir.
deacons
Black deacons.
that carried guns.
That's
to take
right.
so the church was everything to us. Where's that now?
It's there. But here's the problem. Then we didn't have options. The church was the only option. Right? Now, oh my God, you got too many options, right? So here's the thing. I tell people, the church is this church. No, church has been the same. You have in every existence, everything, the outliners, right? Right, you have that. But majority, if you look at the majority of churches, pick one, wherever you want to go, they're still trying to serve the community. They're still trying to evangelize and disciple and love people. But here's the problem. You can't love and disciple and evangelize people that don't show up. That's the difference. See, anything convenient is not necessarily Christian. It takes inconvenience to be a Christian. And it takes intelligence. I didn't say education. I said intelligence. There's a difference, right? So people...
So let me ask you, because you're right on the point, and I didn't want to make it a church thing, but that's who you are and what you do with children. What about our churches move? I always talk about moving collectively.
Okay.
You heard me say that.
Yeah.
You heard me talk about wealth and owning something, not pop-up shops, but owning something in the city. I just did a thing with Juneteenth and got on TV and let them know that was about celebration, but we need liberation.
That's right.
What are we owning?
Yeah.
We were free that day that they came in 1865. Free to do what? Free in a field that they didn't own. That wasn't ours.
Right.
The only option was to stay and work for the slave owner that owned you, sell your soul to the company store to get food to stay on. So what did we gain? I agree we gained freedom, but freedom really came later because we're still fighting for freedom in this country. Still fighting for it. So as a church, and the guidance collectively as a church, we see, I know there's no one all, but I'm just asking because I can always ask you, where is the church collectively moving? Or is it each church doing their own thing? Or is there a collective movement where everybody says, let's do this. Let's come together and let's agree whatever we have, if it's $100, whatever, let's put it in a fund where the lower churches that don't have mega, where's that response? Is that even happening in the
it
church?
does. But it happens. Here are things. If it's of conviction, it doesn't necessarily have to be convenient. Right? Listen what I'm saying to you. So Eric Johnson does not market. Now, I know I get in trouble about that because you need to be doing sermon slices and da-da-da. Man, listen. And I understand in today's world that needs to be done. But I'm a part of and there's several pastors that I know are part of groups that quietly move. I don't need Lamont to know everything I'm doing for the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Because again, his purpose may not be. So there's several of us collectively who minister at Shawnee, right? So nobody knows about what we do at Shawnee. We just do it because we're convicted that, hey, man, we're not going to let these kids come in here and, not have anything. Right. And everybody else got this, and why can't we do? So we do what we can. And then I'm part of a group, same thing at Farnsley, man. My wife was saying, da-da-da. I said, we got that. I got some guys, I got some fellas. And there's several other kind of things that I know of that happen. Pastor West, the Lydia's house.
I love Pastor West.
Yeah, Lance West. He got the Lydia house. So we all try to work with him. You know what I'm saying? He needed some stuff, man. We just quietly, hey, man, da-da-da, you got something, da-da, and gave him what he needed. He needed, I don't know, it was refrigerator or something he needed. Something that broke down. Right. And, man, before the end of the day, bro.
And you can't find another pastor that's more dedicated to the work of the community.
No, sir.
I mean, none whatsoever. and I had the privilege of dealing with a lot of ministers or churches. And when I did, I gave my all.
Yeah,
that's one thing. Even if I leave, I'm not leaving because of anything, because I give everything when I'm there.
Right.
So there's never, I'm leaving here because, no, never.
No.
It's just, it's time to move on. But the ministers we have is second to none in Louisville. My question was, are they moving? And I think you kind of answered maybe separately, but there is a few that are still pushing.
Yeah, and more than just a few. But you have to define
what that is.
That's exactly right. Because it's not one guy leading everybody now. Mm-hmm. That's gone. That model is gone. Now the model is collaboration. Mm-hmm. So maybe on this project, I'm collaborating with you. But on the next project, I'm collaborating with him. Now, you might come to my church and be like, well, he ain't doing nothing. No, you don't know what I've done because it was through collaboration, right? Okay. So you have to be more careful and succinct and specific about how we define partnership and those kind of things.
But those things are happening.
They're absolutely happening. Okay. Now, we do have room, God knows this, we do have room for improvement. As I've grown older, I thought when I first came, I don't know if you remember Reverend Snorton.
Yeah.
Old man Snorton. Mm-hmm. He pulled me aside when I first.
It was Joshua
Tabernacle, yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that dude to death, man. He was wild, but he was a truth teller, man. He said, Johnson, when I first came to Joshua, I thought I was gonna change the world. He said, man, I was on fire, man. We had ideas, I had vision, blah, blah, blah. He said, but the longer I was here, I realized that the fight wasn't changing the world. The fight was not letting the world change me. I never forgot that. And that's what I've tried to live, and that's what I've tried to instill in Greater Galilee Church and in our camp. If I can help somebody as I pass along the way, right? If I can cheer them with a word or a song, then the song says, then my living will not be in vain. And until we get back, it doesn't matter whether you are moving together or separate. If you have the wrong mission and the wrong perspective and motivation, you're going to end up with the wrong result. So you're in the right formation, going the wrong way, right? But what I think we need is more people saying, how can I partner with what's already happening, right? We already have camps. We already have the academic camp. We already have Roots 101. Why would I want to start Roots 102? Does that make sense? And see, one of the problems with African Americans has been that because we lack validation, affirmation, and significance, we feel like we got to have our own. No. It makes me no less of a man to say, I don't have a podcast. Can I come on yours? Can I share yours? Right? It makes you no less of a man that you bend down to give me a hand up. Right? And a lot of times we think by lighting, if Eric lights Lamont's candle, he lessens his own. And that's so invalid. But that's the culture. Western culture, white culture has taught that, right? And so we've got to get down where the work is. You want to stop crime? Go to the crime-ridden areas and offer jobs and education and relationships. Let's put something in this community that gives affirmation, validation, and significance to the people who live here. You got me jacked up, man. How you get jacked up? Look where I live. Look at the schools I go to. Look at what I got to wear clothes I can't afford to impress Negroes that don't like me, right? Just so I can say I'm somebody. Look how messed up psychologically it is.
No, it's no doubt.
And then here's the other thing, we avoid truth on every level. We avoid it because if it ain't like what I like, I don't want to hear you say it.
And cancel culture.
Who can judge me? Who can judge me? Yeah, I bush. So, no. face it on. We avoid every institution that's trying to help us, right? So if you really wanted help and the Lord can help you, why wouldn't I go to the Lord? Why church is empty? It ain't because, we got to stop letting people blame the church for being empty. It ain't always the church's fault it's empty. Sometimes it's empty because there's some truth going on. And folk are much rather to be empowered. They would much rather be entertained than deal with the change that requires empowerment.
That's great. I totally agree. And that's why I say it's when you really look at ministry, a true minister or a minister that's compassionate in all kind of ways, I can imagine, the pursuit of what you're called to do and trying to please people instead of teaching people.
Right.
And those that want to teach may not have a full Sunday school. That's right. Because you stepping on all kinds of toes,
yes, sir,
right?
Man. Yeah.
So I get that. When I went to school and got my master's divinity, I get that part. And I even get the part when you get in that pulpit on Sunday and you start talking about a subject that nobody wants to talk about. And they don't want to invite you back next. Then invited you for 8 Sundays in a row. Love you, ask you to be assistant for all those things. But once you start talking about something they don't want to deal with, they ain't ask you back.
Yeah, you can feel it.
You can feel it. And then you realize, are you going to change because of them or are you going to stay where God told you to stay? And that's got to be hard for ministers to deal with.
Psychologically, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually.
It's got to be.
But man, again, all I have in life, I tell anybody this, man, it's just simple. All I have in life is the fact I know he called me. Lamont, I don't even think you real, right? And I don't know what all this is because all of it could pass away. Boom. All I have ultimately in life is the fact I know God called me. And if he called me, he will sustain me. He will provide for me. Now, I'm going to have to do without a lot of stuff, man, which I've had to do. I've made tons of stuff. And, going years without getting paid, right? I drive good. I eat. I'm 30 pounds overweight.
You get
well, I eat late. That's why I'm fat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know better. But by the time I get home or whatever, it's midnight, man. It's midnight. I said, Lord, help me do better. But yeah, man, God has supplied all my, I'm here to tell you, God has supplied all my needs and a lot of my wants. All because I've never tried to do it for money. I've never tried to do it for fame or glory. You don't see me on Instagram talking about what I do, who I am. Hey, I did this today. I went over here. Man, it's about kingdom. Man, these kids out here hurting. And not just kids, people are out here hurting. And they don't even know, unfortunately, that they hurting. They just think bleeding is normal. Everybody bleed. No, man. You got to get that fixed. I know everybody in my family did. You know what I'm saying? Curses and stuff. So
that's one thing about you that cut you off is that I used to call you the cursing preacher when I was working, did some things for you. And I said, that's a cursing preacher. But it was, what I loved about it is that you were just being real to what you are and who you are and letting kids know there's some vulnerability to who you are.
Yes, sir.
And I love that part that at least you don't sit there and try to, I apologize. Not saying that you just, I'm just saying two. But what I'm saying is it's a realness to the journey and the realness to what God's called you to.
Hey, man,
I think you embrace that.
Lamont, I've been there. I can't act like I didn't grow up in a home that when it rained, it didn't rain in it. I can't walk around now because I got a PhD and act like I don't know what it's like not to wear shoes that had holes in them, man. When I first came to Louisville, bro, anybody that knows me knows this story. I only had one suit and it shined. You didn't need no light when I walked in. You hear me? That's how old it was. And I would never cross my feet or cross my legs. Would never. You could have gave me, how much you mean? Nope. Because I didn't want nobody to know that the best pair of shoes I had holes in them and I had paper. In the seminary, I had paper, man, cover that up. Bro, I'm not going to act. I'm not one of these dudes going to act like, I always been there and, I ain't got nothing on me. I'm dusty. You know what I'm saying? I'm very dusty. And I want everybody to know, man, I ain't what I'm trying to be yet, but I need you to know I've been through some situations. I've been through some deserts and storms, bro, and I'm dusty. And I'm glad to tell people that. And I want people to know that. And if they're offended, shame on them. Shame on them. If you're offended by authentic relationship and authenticity, then shame on you. Something wrong. So who told you it's okay to be plastic? Right? And man, I want people to know, bro, I grew up. No, I didn't do a whole lot of yak because I was smarter than that. If Lamont fell in a hole, I was intelligent enough to know, shit, if he fell in it, I'm going to go around it, right? So if my boy out here got slung out, man, he out here wilding out, and I saw what happened to him, I ain't got to wild out to find out if it's going to happen to me. You know? No. And so those were the kind of simple, again, intelligent things. And then I'm going to tell you one thing. The other thing that saved me, man, when I was going through is I had wisdom enough to listen to the multiplicity of older men in my life. They were talking some good stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? And now I go back, I can pull it again, that Felix the cat bag. Say, man, you know everything. She is shaking right now, but it's a migraine later. Don't make a 30-second mistake for an 18-year sentence. I don't know what he's talking about. Now I understand. So I want the people with whom I have the privilege of walking and serving, I want them to understand, man, Jesus hung out with wine bibbers, sinners, and gluttons. He was mislabeled. He was a refugee. This brother was jacked. Trumped up charges, man. But he always kept it common. And what text says, and the common people heard him gladly. Wasn't nobody offended but the fake people in power. Everybody else who needed that relationship. There it is again. And the common people heard him. He fed 5,000. He fed 7,000. And then a number without multitude. And he had to get away. He had to get out on the boat, man, and go up in the mountain to get away from people. Because common people need that common touch, man. What happened to us as black men and community, African-American men and community, making each other feel like you that dude, building each other up, man. Hey, man, you fighting good today. Hey, man, I'm proud of you, Lamont. I'm proud. So I go around and I tell Pastor West, and I tell all my colleagues and whoever I meet, I see a young brother on the street, he looking, I said, man, hey, you wearing them shoes today, boy. Hi, OG. I said, man, who is OG? Boy, you talking about OG? I look, I guess he talking about me. Hey, you know what I'm saying? But I try to instill that in all of our people, man. Look for the good. Look for the God in people. And call it out.
I love it. I've known you do that. That's why I wanted you on the podcast. I always reach out to you because you're doing the real thing. And I know it's frustrating when you see other churches get millions of dollars, city government,
right,
this person, that, and you still following the faith of who God is.
Right.
But you're saying, well, come on.
Right.
What are we not doing that we can't get 2,000 or 3,000 or 30,000? Because we're serving these same young men that turn the streets up too.
Right.
We're serving them too. And I know that has to be a wrestle with. I mean, I know that for a fact that you have to go, why? What's wrong with Galilee? Why y'all not seeing what we're doing? But then you go back and says, I don't care if you see it or not, because I'm going to do it anyway.
I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. But I ain't dumb enough not to say, hey, man, I know you got some money.
Yeah.
And since you brought that up, probably since February, man, I've done maybe 8 funerals back to back, man. And a couple of those guys, man, one brother was in my home. I raised him, brought him to my house, got him through middle school, got him into a PRP. He did good, graduated early, got a job at Ford, your old spot, doing good, man. And he ran with some guys who were not liked by some other guys. I guess that's how I say it. And, man, they ran up on him one day while he was on his way to work, get in the truck, man. And I think put minimum 3, but I think maybe 15 shots in it.
I remember that was up on Expressway. But I'm Philip Morris, not Ford.
Oh, okay.
My son's.
Yeah.
You remember I was I came to you through Miss Curl.
Curl, yeah,
Miss Curl.
that's right.
I was Philip Morris.
And so that shook me. And then I had another young guy shot, and the person who shot him in the head knew him because there was no sign of forced entry, and he was sitting in the driver's seat, man. And they called me, Reverend Johnson, I said, where is he at? He said, he's in the truck. So by the time I get there, they've got it roped up, I can go. And, man, watching them put that truck up with him in it and take it off, man, that affected me.
So they wouldn't move his body because
they don't move his body because it's a crime scene. So
Right.
they take the body and the car or the vehicle up on a flatbed, cover it up,
then transport. Isn't that a heck of a way to die?
I'm like, man. And the responses I should have seen from people, I didn't. And that makes me wonder then, where are we as a people? Yeah, because we got to fight. You were absolutely right what you said earlier. What's going on, the rolling back of the Civil Rights Act, the rolling back of all these things, the rise of the radical red Republican and Trumpism and
under the umbrella of Christianity,
so-called
Christianity,
a type of brand of pseudo Christianity, right? They're gonna use whatever they got to use to get the multitude of unthinking whites to get with them, right? Mm-hmm. All you gotta do is, hey, Lyndon B. Johnson said this. He said, if you want a white man to fight for you,
he said it when he was running for president.
Make him think he's better.
And became president.
And he became president on that, right? So, but I also think we need to keep an eye on the disintegration from within of not only of our culture, Brother Lamont, but our people. Even if I have every right and I'm a monster within, what will I do? So we don't complain about clowns in the circus. That's where they belong. But what about when you put a clown, in charge? Then yeah, and I think we're predicated on now so much entertainment culture and you say council culture that we're okay and we're numb to clowns being birthed.
Yeah. And clowns run the circus.
And clowns run the circus.
And we forget that. I remember when I helped bring the
Afro Soul Circus.
Soul Circus. Yeah, when I brought that to Louisville.
Yeah.
And I told the newspaper, I said, the reason I bought it, so many young kids see the circus, but now they're living in the circus. And that's why I brought them, because I wanted them to see. They never seen a circus. They live in a circus. And I'm planning on trying to reach back out to get them back in Louisville.
Yeah, man, let me be a part of that.
I will. I think I can make that happen. The ownership of it is from Louisville now.
Oh.
After all these years, I don't know if you remember a gentleman by the name of Cliff Arns, who used to teach school. With Cliff's sister bought the Soul Circus.
Oh, man.
About 6 years ago, and I never followed back up on it. But she ended up buying the circus.
Man, I would love.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to him. Yes, because that was a heck of a thing.
Oh man, listen, I love.
We brought it twice. Yeah, it was something special.
Yeah, and we were there. I think we had a whole section.
Yeah, you had those sections.
Yeah, man, because we was like, I think one time we got a bus, man, one of them big buses to bring everybody, because church van wasn't gonna do that.
Yeah. I mean, wherever I could give tickets to, I mean, it was just awesome.
Amazing. It was awesome experience. Yeah, that's when my kids were little, man.
Yeah, but man, but your ministry and what you do in Louisville, I think it does not get talked enough. Your compassion for young men and young ladies, but when kids need to know there's something greater inside of them, I think it's always been your ministry to do that. That's why I don't hesitate calling you, because I know you're going to talk about the strength, the pride, and the accountability to who we are. I talk about the ancestors, but we're accountable to our descendants.
That's exactly right.
And right now, we're not doing the job to hold our descendants where they need to be. And I think we have to look at that. When we go through a week where 5 people are shot and women are shot.
Yeah.
When we start shooting young ladies up, what's going on here? And then we don't deal with, I don't want to get, that's a whole different conversation, but the masculinity that we see in females today. It used to be a feminine mystique to a woman. Now there's a masculinity to women today, and we don't want to talk about that. I'm not talking about your sexual preference. I'm just talking about the masculinity to define who you are is something we don't talk about anymore.
It's not. And as unfortunately, with you and I, we were if you were socialized into manliness and those kind of things. We were socialized. This is what a successful person looks like. That women were socialized. Little girls were they couldn't sit with their legs open.
Right.
They popped them knees.
Yeah.
And the dresses had to be so.
Yeah.
Now, T-part. Now, where would you go to see that? How to eat correctly? Where would you go to see that? They doing, and really, you check the statistics. Women's committing crime has been on the rise, and it is either caught or equal to
Yes.
what the boys are doing.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, we don't deal with that masculinity piece
Accountability.
that we never, as a community, ever bought into.
Never bought into that.
Now we bought into it, embraced it, and we're not talking about TV. I mean, we could talk forever.
Yeah.
While we worry about people looking at us, we're looking at programs while people are looking at us.
Right.
Because those programs are programs they design. And then before we go, when we talk about Tubi TV, people don't even realize Tubi TV is owned by Fox. So all the images, negative images that you see on this Tubi broadcast is owned by Fox News. Again, telling our narrative and our story, and we're buying into the content that they're showing about us.
Right.
And historically, that's happened ever since Reconstructs, minstrel shows, or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Roots is so important, telling that story and history. And it's so important, ministers like you, to challenge our community at the same time.
Exactly right.
So this is Roots. So this is a healing process. I have Dr. Reverend Johnson here today, and he is one of the greatest, most motivating ministers I know in this city. Do you want to give him any departing? Give me something. Give me one of them quotes that the great I don't know. Just give me something.
Okay.
You're a
Okay.
quote guy.
Yeah, I do, man. I read.
Matter of fact, give me 3 good quotes to live by.
First one is
Because people don't realize you're a historian too.
Yeah.
You know Black history upside down, just like I think I do.
Yeah.
So give me 3 Black leaders quotes that can take us out.
Okay. I think the first one I would say to you is that we want to be careful of the silence of our friends. That's Martin Luther King. Second one is, that's good. Man, it's like flood. Like, okay, which do I pull from? The second one I would say would be Give You a Lady. Harriet Tubman said, if you hear the noise, you hear the dogs, and I would translate that, contextualize that, man, if you hear the noise, you see the haters, don't stop, keep going, right? And then finally, my other guy, I think Malcolm X contextualized today, looking out that window with that gun. I think he would say now, not just by any means necessary, but I think he would say by accountability only, right? And so that's what I would say to you. And then from Dr. Eric A. Johnson, one of the greatest theologians, he's still the only PhD in his area. Others are going and matriculating for theirs, we thank God. But in this particular area, I'm still the sole theologian. And that is, I would say to you, I would encourage every alive person to get every bit of living out of every day. Right? Howard Thurman, theologian, said, don't ask what people need. He says, don't worry about that. He says, go find out what the need is and start burning, and people will come to you.
I remember, I'm a Dick Greger. Remember Dick Greger?
Yeah, I remember Dick Greger.
Dick Greger, he was a good friend of Buster
Coleman.
Yeah, they're
yes, sir.
good friends.
You used to come bring him all the time?
Yeah. And I remember him telling me one day, he says, Collins, he said, keep looking through those rose-colored glasses. I said, what do you mean? He says, God gives some people rose-colored glasses to see things other people can't see. And he says, whatever you do, don't take the glasses off because people make you think you see what they see. Keep the glasses on and attack everything that you see without waiting for people's permission to tell you saw it.
That's good.
And I remember me, I think I was like, maybe sophomore in college, but it was so profound. But I really didn't get it till I got it now. Got it now. Keep those rose-colored glasses on. It's okay to keep them on.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Remember, this is Deeply Rooted podcast. Remember, legacies matter, and so do you. See you next time.